Night. The kind that pressed against windows and made the city feel like it was holding its breath. Miharu Zhao sat on the bathroom floor of her studio apartment with a pregnancy test balanced on her knee and a phone that wouldn't stop vibrating against the tile. 2 pink lines. Clear. Unmistakable. Final. Her phone lit up again. Unknown number. The same unknown number that had been calling for 3 days straight. She'd ignored it every time because she knew, the way prey knows when it's being tracked, that the moment she answered, everything would change. The screen went dark, then immediately lit again. A text message this time. We know about the baby. We need to talk. You have 48 hours. Miharu's hands didn't shake. That was the worst part. Her hands should have shaken. Normal people's hands shook when they received messages like this. But she'd been raised by wolves who'd taught her that fear was a luxury and hesitation was a death sentence. She set the phone face down and looked at the pregnancy test again. 6 weeks, maybe. 7 at most. She knew exactly when it had happened. New Year's Eve. A hotel bar in Manhattan. A man with an Irish accent and green eyes who'd made her laugh for the first time in months. They'd talked about art and architecture and things that had nothing to do with blood or legacy or prophecy. His name was Declan. She hadn't known, not then, that he was Declan Byrne, nephew of Liam Byrne, head of the Irish syndicate that controlled half of Boston's waterfront and had been quietly expanding south into territories that used to belong to her father. Used to. Vincent Zhao had been dead for 6 months. Heart attack. Quick. Painless. He'd been holding Miharu's hand at a Sunday dinner, mid-sentence about wanting to visit Tokyo in the spring, when his face went gray and his grip loosened and he was just gone. She'd held his hand until the paramedics arrived. She'd held it during the funeral. She'd held it in her dreams for weeks afterward, trying to finish the sentence he'd never gotten to complete. Now she was pregnant with the child of a man whose family wanted exactly what every family before them had wanted: to use her. To control her, to turn her into a symbol of something larger than herself. Her phone vibrated again. This time, she picked it up. The message was longer. Miss Zhao, my name is Liam Byrne. I believe you know my nephew. And we have much to discuss regarding the child you're carrying. I'm offering protection, resources, and a future free from the violence that took your father. But time is limited. Others will learn of this soon. Meet me, or spend the rest of your life running. Miharu read it twice. Then she stood, walked to the window, and looked out at the city her father had helped carve into pieces. She thought about calling Takeshi, but Takeshi Yamada was 74 years old now, living in a modest house in the suburbs with round-the-clock care for the stroke that had left his right side weak and his speech slightly slurred. He'd given up his empire 5 years ago, handed it to Tanaka with the kind of finality that came from a man who'd realized he'd spent his whole life building the wrong thing. He still visited her, monthly. And they'd have tea, and he'd ask about her life, and she'd lie and say everything was fine. She could see him if she closed her eyes, sitting in his garden, hands folded in his lap, watching birds he couldn't name but seemed to find peaceful anyway. He'd spent 20 years helping raise her, teaching her, protecting her. But he couldn't protect her from this. No one could. Miharu lowered herself to the floor like her bones had finally agreed to stop pretending. The tile was cold enough to make her flinch, but she didn't move away from it. She pressed one hand against her stomach, not protectively, more like she was checking if the universe had really put something there. She tried to breathe slowly. She tried to be the person everyone believed she was. But the silence in the room didn't care about prophecy. It only cared about truth. Her voice came out smaller than she expected. I didn't ask to be chosen, Miharu whispered. I just wanted to be safe. The phone buzzed again. She didn't look at it. Instead, she thought about her great-grandmother, a woman she'd never met but whose shadow had shaped her entire life. Somewhere in Kenya, 75 years ago, an old woman had seen a vision and set everything in motion. And now, Miharu was here, sitting on a bathroom floor, pregnant, alone, exactly where the prophecy said she'd be. The pattern was repeating, and she was the only one who could break it. Nairobi, 1951. The air smelled like rain and red earth, and something Aisha Ochieng couldn't name, but recognized as the scent of endings. She sat in the doorway of her small house on the edge of the city, watching storm clouds gather over the distant hills. While her daughter, Kamau's mother, only 16, was inside grinding maize, humming a song Aishi had taught her when she was small. Eshi's hands trembled in her lap, not from age, though she was old enough, not from illness, though her body had been failing for months, from knowing. The visions had started when she was a girl. Small things at first, dreams that came true, whispers in the wind that told her which path to take, which man to marry, which child would live and which would die before their first breath. Her mother had called it a gift, as she called it a curse, because the gift didn't show you how to change things. It only showed you what was coming. And you had to watch it unfold exactly as you'd seen it, powerless to stop the machinery of fate once it started turning. Well, she'd seen her husband's death 3 years before the fever took him. She'd seen the British soldiers burning the village to the west. She'd seen her son leave for the city and never return. And now, tonight, she'd seen something worse. A great-granddaughter she would never meet. Born in a city of dragons, across an ocean, 25 years from now. A child caught between worlds, between blood and choice. Between men who would kill for her and men who would die for her, and a world that would never let her be ordinary. As she had seen the child's face, dark eyes, mixed heritage, beautiful in the way that drew attention and danger in equal measure. She'd seen the girl's mother, her own granddaughter not yet born, wrapping the baby in silk and leaving her to die. Number, not to die, to live. Because sometimes the only way to save something was to let it go. As she closed her eyes and felt the vision pulling her back, she saw 2 men fighting over the child, one with her blood, one with her heart, both believing they had the right to claim her. She saw a woman, an aunt, sharp and certain, who believed the child was a bridge to a better world. She saw wars, alliances, betrayals, and at the center of it all, the child, growing, learning, becoming. But the vision didn't stop there. It never did. As she saw further, she saw the child grown, 25, pregnant, terrified, sitting on a floor in a city thousands of miles away, making the same choice her mother had made. Run, hide, sacrifice, the cycle turning, again and again and again. Unless. As she opened her eyes and looked at her daughter inside the house, so young, so full of hope. Mama? The girl appeared in the doorway, wiping her hands on her apron. Are you well? As she smiled. Come here, child. Her daughter sat beside her, folding her legs beneath her the way Esha had taught her. I need to tell you something, as she said. Something you must remember, something you must pass down. What is it? As she took her daughter's hands. One day, you will have a daughter, and she will have a daughter. And that daughter will have a daughter of her own. Her daughter frowned. That's many years from now, Mama. Yes, but you must listen, because when the time comes, you must tell her this. The gift is not the child. The gift is the choice. I don't understand. You will. Eshi's grip tightened. The women in our line will see things. Visions. Prophecies. And they will believe those visions are commands. That seeing the future means accepting it. Isn't it? No. Ishi's voice was fierce. The future is not written in stone, it's written in choices, and every generation has the power to choose differently. Her daughter looked confused, but she nodded. Promise me, as she said. Promise you'll remember. I promise, Mama. As she released her hands and looked back at the storm clouds, she'd done what she could. The rest was up to them. The women who would come after. The ones who would have to choose between destiny and freedom. Between the pattern and the break. as she closed her eyes and felt the rain begin to fall. She would be dead by morning, but the vision would live on. And 75 years from now, a girl named Miharu would stand at a crossroads and decide whether the cycle continued or finally, mercifully, broke. Miharu called her mother at dawn. Amara Ochieng answered on the first ring, her voice thick with sleep, but immediately alert the way mothers' voices always were when their children called at strange hours. Miharu, what's wrong? I need to see you. Silence. Then, where are you? Home. I'm coming. Amara arrived 40 minutes later with a bag of groceries and the kind of calm that came from years of practice at hiding panic. She was 50 now, still beautiful, still carrying herself with the grace of someone who'd survived too much to be easily shaken. But her eyes went to Miharu's face and stayed there. Tell me, Amara said quietly. Miharu handed her the pregnancy test. Amara looked at it for a long time. Then she set it down on the kitchen counter and pulled out a chair. Sit. Miharu sat. Amara made tea. She didn't ask questions, didn't rush, just moved through the small kitchen with the practiced efficiency of someone who knew that some conversations required ritual. When the tea was ready, she poured 2 cups and sat across from Miharu. Who's the father? Amara asked. Declan Byrne. Amara's face didn't change, but something shifted in her eyes. The Irish. Yes. Does he know? No, but his family does. Amara's hands wrapped around her cup. How? I don't know. But they're watching me. They've been watching me. They sent a message last night. What did it say? Miharu pulled out her phone and showed her. Amara read it twice. Then she set the phone down and looked at her daughter. What do you want to do? I don't know. Yes, you do. Miharu's throat tightened. I want to disappear. Take the baby somewhere they'll never find us. Raise her in peace. Her? I don't know. But it feels like a her. Amara smiled faintly. I thought the same thing about you. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Amara spoke again, her voice quieter. Do you remember what I told you? About why I left you at the dump? Yes. Do you understand it? Miharu looked down at her tea. You were trying to save me. I was trying to give you a chance. Amara's voice cracked slightly. A chance to be raised by someone who could protect you. Someone who wasn't running. Someone who wasn't broken. You weren't broken. I was. Amara's hands trembled, not from age, but from remembering. There were nights, Amara said. I prayed God would take the gift back. Miharu's face tightened, the words landing like betrayal. Amara shook her head quickly, tears gathering before she could stop them. Not because I didn't want you, she said. Because I did. Because you were mine before you were anyone else's. Her throat worked like it was swallowing glass. But I didn't want this life for you. Miharu reached across the table and took her mother's hand. I know. Do you? Yes. Amara wiped her eyes. Then you know why I'm going to tell you this. Don't run. Don't hide. Don't repeat what I did. Miharu pulled her hand back. What else am I supposed to do? Face them. All of them. The Irish. Kamaria. Everyone who thinks they have a claim to your life or your child's life. Face them and tell them no. That's not enough. It's everything. They'll come for her anyway. Then you make sure they regret it. Miharu stared at her mother. You sound like Vincent. Amara smiled sadly. Your father taught me a lot of things. One of them was that sometimes the only way to end a war is to make it too expensive to keep fighting. And if that doesn't work? Amara's smile faded. Then you do what I should have done 25 years ago. You stand your ground and you fight. Miharu visited Takeshi 3 days later. He lived in a small house in a quiet suburb, surrounded by gardens he could no longer tend himself but insisted on keeping. A nurse named Helen let Miharu in and gestured toward the back porch where Takeshi sat in a wicker chair, wrapped in a blanket despite the mild weather. He looked up when she approached and smiled. It was slower than it used to be, his face not quite symmetrical anymore, but it was still warm. "Miharu," he said, his voice slightly thick. "This is a surprise." She sat in the chair beside him. "I should visit more." "You visit enough?" He studied her face. "What's wrong?" "Why do you think something's wrong?" "Because I've known you since you were 4 days old, and I can always tell." Miharu looked out at the garden. "I'm pregnant." Takeshi didn't respond immediately. He just sat there, his good hand resting on the arm of the chair, his breathing steady. "I see," he said finally. "The father is Irish, connected to Liam Byrne." "Ah. They want the baby." "Of course they do." Miharu turned to look at him. "What should I do?" Takeshi was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, and his voice was careful. "What do you want to do?" "Everyone keeps asking me that. Because it's the only question that matters. I don't know what I want." "Yes, you do." Miharu's hands clenched. "I want to be left alone. I want to raise my child without looking over my shoulder. I want a normal life." "Then take one." "It's not that simple." "It's exactly that simple." Takeshi shifted in his chair, wincing slightly. "You think because you were born into this world, you're trapped in it. But you're not. You can walk away anytime you want. And if they come for me, then you remind them who your fathers were." Miharu smiled bitterly. "Vincent's dead. I'm not. You can barely walk. I can still think. I can still plan. And I still have people who owe me favors." His eyes met hers. "If you want to disappear, and I can make it happen. New identity, new city, new life. But Miharu..." "What?" "That's not what you want." She looked away. "You want to stand and fight," Takeshi continued. "You want to end this, not just for yourself, for your child, for every child who comes after." "I don't know how." "Yes, you do. You've always known. You just haven't been ready to do it. And now?" Takeshi reached out with his good hand and touched her arm. "Now you're a mother. And mothers do things they never thought possible." Miharu met Kamaria Ochieng in a tea room in the West Village. It was neutral ground, chosen carefully, with enough foot traffic to discourage violence but private enough for the conversation they needed to have. Kamaria was 78 now, her hair completely white, her body frail but her eyes still sharp as cut glass. She sat at a corner table with a cup of tea she hadn't touched, and a leather-bound journal open in front of her. Miharu sat across from her. They hadn't spoken in 5 years. Not since Miharu had told Kamaria to stop sending her letters about destiny and prophecy and the responsibility of her bloodline. "You're pregnant," Kamaria said without preamble. "How did you know?" "I've been watching you since you were born. Did you think I'd stop now?" "I thought you'd given up." "I don't give up. I wait." Kamaria closed the journal. "And now the time has come." "For what?" "For you to understand what you are." Miharu's jaw tightened. "I'm just a woman who got pregnant. There's no prophecy, no destiny. Just biology and bad timing." Kamaria smiled faintly. "You still don't believe." "Believe what?" "That you matter." "I don't want to matter." "Too late." Kamaria leaned forward. "The Irish know about the baby. The Russians know. The Colombians know. Every criminal organization in this city knows. And they all want the same thing. To use her. To control the future." Kamaria's voice was soft but certain. "Because they believe, correctly, that whoever controls you controls the next generation of power in this city." "I'm not power." "You're the daughter of Vincent Zhao, and the adopted daughter of Takeshi Yamada. You were raised by 2 of the most dangerous men this city has ever seen. You have connections, knowledge, leverage. And now you're carrying a child whose bloodline connects 3 major factions." Kamaria's eyes burned. "You are the bridge, Miharu. And whether you want to be or not." "Then I'll burn the bridge." "You can't. It's already built." Miharu stood. "I'm not doing this." "Sit down." "No." Kamaria's voice sharpened. Sit down, child. We're not finished. Something in her tone made Miharu hesitate. Then slowly, she sat. Kamaria opened the journal again and turned it so Miharu could see. The pages were covered in handwritten notes, dates, names, timelines. This, Kamaria said, is 75 years of history. Starting with your great-grandmother Aisha, the first seer in our line, the woman who saw you before you were born. I know the story. You know the version I told you. But you don't know the truth. What truth? Kamaria traced a finger down the page. Eshi didn't just see you. She saw your daughter. And your daughter's daughter. She saw 5 generations of women, each one carrying the same burden. Each one believing they were chosen. Each one sacrificing everything for a prophecy that was never real. Miharu went cold. What? The prophecy was a lie. Kamaria's voice was almost gentle. Or rather, it was a belief that became true because people believed it. Eshi saw a pattern, a cycle of violence and sacrifice, and she thought it was destiny. But it wasn't. It was just trauma repeating. Then why did you? Because I believed it too. For 60 years, I believed that you were the answer. That if I could raise you correctly, shape you correctly, I could break the cycle. But I was wrong. Kamaria closed the journal. The cycle doesn't break because someone else tells you how. It breaks because you choose to break it yourself. Miharu's hands were shaking. Why are you telling me this now? Because your daughter is the last one. The pattern ends with her. But only if you choose to end it. How? Kamaria stood, leaning heavily on her cane. By refusing to play the game. By walking away from all of it. The violence, the prophecy, the belief that your child has to be anything other than a child. She looked at Miharu with something that might have been love or regret, or both. Your great-grandmother saw the pattern. Your grandmother tried to escape it. Your mother tried to save you from it. And now you have the chance to end it, but only if you're brave enough to choose yourself. She turned and walked out of the tea room, leaving Miharu alone with the journal. Miharu opened it and read. By the time she finished, the sun had set and the tea room was closing. She closed the journal and stood. She knew what she had to do. The meeting with Liam Byrne was set for the following Tuesday. Neutral ground again. A private room in a restaurant in Midtown. Miharu arrived early with Kenji, Takeshi's former driver, now in his 80s but still sharp, and 2 security guards she'd hired specifically for this. Liam Byrne arrived exactly on time with his nephew Declan, and 3 men who looked like they'd been carved out of granite. Liam was 60, silver-haired, with the kind of face that had been handsome once, but now just looked hard. He moved like a man who'd spent his life making other people uncomfortable and enjoyed it. Declan looked nervous. They sat across from each other at a long table. Liam folded his hands and smiled. Miss Zhao, thank you for meeting with me. I didn't have much choice. Everyone has a choice. Then let me be clear about mine. I'm keeping the baby. I'm raising her myself. And I'm not interested in your protection, your resources, or your future. Liam's smile didn't falter. I admire your spirit. Your father would be proud. My father is dead. Yes, and that's exactly why you need my help. I don't need anyone's help. You're pregnant and alone. The Russians are watching you. The Colombians are watching you. Hell, half the city is watching you, waiting to see what you'll do. You think you can survive that on your own? Yes. Liam leaned back. You're lying. I'm not. Then you're a fool. Miharu stood. This meeting is over. Sit down. No. Declan spoke for the first time, his voice quiet. Miharu, please. She looked at him, really looked at him. He seemed smaller than she remembered, less sure. Did you know? She asked. Know what? About this. About your uncle. About the plan. There's no plan. Don't lie to me. Declan's face flushed. I didn't know. Not when we met. But after, when I told my family. You told them? I thought. He stopped. I thought they'd be happy. I thought maybe we could. Could what? Get married? Raise a family? Live happily ever after? Yes. Miharu laughed. It was a bitter sound. You're as naive as I was. Liam interrupted. Miss Zhao, sit down. We're not finished. Miharu ignored him. She looked at Declan one more time. Stay away from me. Stay away from my child. If I see you again, I'll assume you're a threat. She walked out. Behind her, she heard Liam's voice, cold and certain. This isn't over, Miss Zhao. Not by a long shot. She didn't look back. 3 weeks later, someone tried to kill her. It happened outside her apartment building at night. 2 men, professionals. They came at her from both sides, moving fast and silent. But Miharu had been trained by the best. Vincent had taught her to read body language, Takeshi had taught her to anticipate patterns, and Kenji had taught her that the best way to survive an ambush was to not be where your attackers expected you to be. She moved before they reached her, ducking low and to the left, her hand already reaching into her bag for the small knife she carried. The first man swung it where she'd been. The second adjusted, but not fast enough. She slashed at his wrist, felt the knife connect, heard him swear. Then she ran. Not away. Went toward the building entrance where the doorman was already looking up, already reaching for his phone. The men didn't follow. They disappeared into the night like smoke. Miharu made it inside, her heart hammering, her hands shaking. The doorman called the police. She called Kenji. By the time the police arrived, Kenji was already there with 4 men who positioned themselves around the building like sentries. The police asked questions. Miharu gave vague answers. They promised to patrol the area. She thanked them and knew it wouldn't be enough. After they left, Kenji walked her upstairs. Who sent them? He asked quietly. I don't know. Could be the Irish. Could be anyone. What do you want to do? Miharu looked at him. Kenji was 82, his hair white, his movements slower than they'd been, but his eyes were still steady. I want to end this, she said. How? I don't know yet, but I'm tired of running. I'm tired of looking over my shoulder. I'm tired of living in fear. Kenji nodded. Then we fight. I'm pregnant. I know. I can't. You can, and you will. Because you're your father's daughter, and because you don't have a choice. Miharu pressed her hand against her stomach. She was 12 weeks now, starting to show. What if I lose her? You won't. You don't know that. No. But I know you. And I know that if anyone can survive this, it's you. Miharu closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were harder. Okay, she said. Then let's end it. The plan came together over the next 2 weeks. Miharu reached out to every faction, the Russians, the Colombians, the Koreans, the Chinese, the Irish. She sent them all the same message. Neutral meeting. Final offer. Take it or leave it. Most of them came. The meeting was set in the same warehouse where Vincent and Takeshi had met 25 years ago. Castellanos' old territory. Neutral ground that had been respected for decades. Miharu arrived with Kenji and 6 armed guards. The representatives arrived in waves. Liam Byrne with Declan and his men. Alexei Volkov for the Russians. Carlos Mendoza for the Colombians. Representatives from the other factions. They sat around a large table, eyeing each other with the kind of tension that could ignite into violence at any moment. Miharu stood at the head of the table. She was 16 weeks pregnant now, visibly so, and she didn't try to hide it. Thank you for coming, she said. No one responded. I know what you all want. Control, leverage, a piece of my child's future. But I'm here to tell you that's not going to happen. Liam leaned back in his chair. Bold words for someone in your position. My position is this. I'm Vincent Zhao's daughter. Takeshi Yamada raised me. I have resources, connections, and knowledge. that most of you would kill for, and I'm offering you a deal. What kind of deal? Peace. I stay out of your business. You stay out of mine. I raise my child in private. She grows up away from all of this. And when she's old enough, if she chooses to be involved, that's her choice. Not yours. Not mine. Hers. Alexei Volkov spoke, his accent thick. And if we refuse, then I release everything I know, every secret my father kept, every deal Takeshi brokered, every name, every account, every piece of leverage I inherited. I burn it all down and take you with me. The room went quiet. Carlos Mendoza smiled slowly. You're bluffing. Am I? She pulled out a USB drive and set it on the table. This contains 30 years of records, financial transactions, hidden accounts, deals that would send half of you to prison and get the other half killed. My father kept meticulous records. So did Takeshi. And I have all of them. Liam's face went hard. That's mutually assured destruction. Yes, but I'm the one holding the trigger. So here's the deal. Leave me alone. Leave my child alone. And this stays buried. Come for me, and I release it to the FBI, the DEA, and every major newspaper in the country. You'd go down too. Maybe, but I'm willing to risk it. Are you? The room erupted, shouting, threats, accusations. Miharu waited, and when the noise died down, she spoke again. I'm not my father. I'm not interested in building an empire or making a name for myself. I just want to be left alone. That's all I've ever wanted. And I'm giving you the chance to walk away clean. But if you push me, I will burn everything. And I won't lose sleep over it. Liam stood.